Hello everyone, welcome to TTV News with some latest events in Tây Ninh province. So now we come into details. Ladies and gentlemen, on July 11, the National Traffic Safety Committee have a nationwide online hearing to review traffic order and safety in the first 6 months of the year and implement tasks for the last 6 months of 2023. Mr. Nguyễn Văn Thắng, member of the Police Central Committee, Minister of Transport, chairs the hearing.
At TayNinhTV, please point Mr. Nguyễn Tấn Tài, Director of the Department of Transport of TayNinhTV Province, chaired the conference. In the first 6 months of 2023, the traffic accident continued to be controlled and deeply reduced on 3 criteria compared to the same period in 2022. Specifically, a decrease of 762 cases, about 13.29%, a decrease of 484 deaths for 14.45%, and a database of 214 injured people for 500, decreased for 5.81%. In particular, the number of traffic accidents caused by vehicle drivers violating regulation on alcohol concentration during peak occasions decreased sharply compared to previous years. The situation of violation on overloading vehicles, violation on spending the wrong rules in localities have been also handled in a basic way. According to the report from the Traffic Police Department of TayNinhTV Province Police Department from December the 15th, of TayNinhTV Provincial Public Security, from December the 15th of 2022 to June the 14th of 2023, there were 53 cases in the province, killing for 29 people and injured for 26 others. Compared to the same period in 2022, the number of cases increased by 14 and the number of deaths increased by 12, but the number of injuries decreased by 5. And the traffic accidents occur mainly on roads. Inland waterways do not occur. Traffic safety situation in TayNinhTV Province in the first 6 months of 2023 also kept stable, with no traffic jams, illegal racing, and fighting against law enforcement officers. Especially, Bến Cầu has a situation of traffic accidents that have deeply reduced to all criteria. On July 10 and 11, the delegation of the Ministry of Health, led by Associate Professor Dr. Nguyễn Thị Liên Hương, Deputy Minister of Health, came to work in TayNinhTV on the population and family planning. The content of the work includes the results of consulting and implementing the documents of Provincial Party Committee, the People's Council, and the Provincial People's Committee to implement Resolution number 21, dated October 25th of 2017, on the 12-Party Center Committee on the work of Party Center Committee population in a new situation. Results of implementation of population family planning in 2022 and in the first 6 months of 2023. Invest and allocate local funds for the province population family planning work. At the same time, the Ministry of Health also listens and supports to some of the differences and obstacles in the process of implementing programs and plans on population and services and response to local proposals. Before that, the delegation also visited the reality and worked with the leaders of Châu Thành District People's Committee and Châu Thành District Population and Family Planning Steering Committee.
On the morning of July 11, the Vietnam Fatherland Run Committee of the province have a night hearing term 2019-2024 to summarize the run work in the first 6 months of the year, the key tasks of the 6 working years, the last months of 2023.
Attending the conference, there were Mr. Phạm Hùng Thái, Permanent Deputy Secretary, Provincial Party Committee, and Mr. Nguyễn Thanh Phong, Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Council. The conference heard the Standing Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front of the province report on the preliminary report of the front works in the first 6 months of the year, the key tasks of the work in the last 6 months of the 2023, and thematic reports in the first 6 months of the year, and the task orientation for the last 6 months of the year also. The conference also heard the leaders of the Provincial People's Council announce the organization and operation of the Provincial People's Council in the first 6 months, direction and tasks for the last 6 months of 2023. The leaders of Provincial People's Committee reported the results of implementation of the socio-economic development targets of the province in the first 6 months of the year and implemented the direction and tasks for the last 6 months of the year. And on the morning of July the 11th, the Legal Department of Provincial People's Council had a meeting to verify the content submitted to the A meeting of the Provincial People's Council, scheduled to be held from July the 18th to 20th. Mr. Nguyễn Hồng Thanh, head of the legal department of Provincial People's Council, chaired the meeting. At the meeting, the Department of Home Affairs presented a report on the issuance of the resolution on signing payrolls for current civil servants and public employees receiving the salaries from the state budget in 2023. The provincial payroll in 2022 is 17,997 targets. Localities, agencies, and unions have arranged to employ for 11,484 people, not yet used for 2,713 indicators. And unused payroll quotas of current civil servants and public employees are due to many people retiring at the right age, quitting their jobs, and now signing the payroll. And in the report to submit it to the Provincial People's Council for consideration, the Provincial People's Committee proposed to keep the number of civil servant payrolls as in 2022. However, the Provincial People's Committee proposed to reduce the number of public employees by 186 compared to 2022. And on the morning of July the 11th of 2023, the Department of Labor, Work, Wellness and Social Affairs organized a capacity building training program on social assistance, care and rehabilitation for mentally ill people, autistic children, and the people with mental disorders of the community-based intelligence in 2023. Training conference on topics such as mobilizing the participation of society to increase the support in material, spiritual, care and rehabilitation for mentally ill people, autistic children, and the people with mental disorders integrate into the community to stabilize their life. And common types of mental illness and disorder include schizophrenia, epilepsy, depression, autism, intellectual disability, neurological disability, brain damage, alcohol abuse, drug addiction, etc. And the training conference took place in 2 days from July the 11th to the 12th of 2023.
On July 11, the Department of Culture, Sport and Tourism of Tây Ninh Province cooperated with Saigon Tourist Hotel and Tourism College to organize a training course for receptionists and room service in 2023.
More than 1,000 students are civil servants, officials of the Department of Culture, Sports and Tourism of Tây Ninh Province, the business units providing tourism services in Tây Ninh Province, and from many provinces and the cities eastern, southern of Vietnam. The training course is equipped with the professional knowledge about restaurant, hotel, room service situation, handling skills, rules of civilized tourism behavior and service of restaurant, hotels, accommodation establishments, residents, how to communicate with customers and handle situation effectively. Dissemination of knowledge about tourism industry contributes to building the image and promoting tourism destinations and developing products also, connecting tourism service businesses in the Ninh Province and the Southeast region. The training course took place from the 11th of July to the 14th of July. And ladies and gentlemen, the fraudulent appropriation of property through the internet and social networks has been reflected and warned many times, but still appear more and more with sophisticated methods and tricks. Recently, the subject launched a trick to stimulate victims to click on the vote link to receive a commission, and with amount of profit many times higher than the amount spent. However, when the deposit amount is more and more, participants will not be able to withdraw money to their account. But the more money they paid, the more money the victim lost. That is the case of Mr. T living in the city of the Ninh Province, who was called by a stranger to guide a step to vote for a resource. On June the 21st of 2023, Mr. T received a strange call. This person introduced the company Google Vietnam, specializing in voting polls on Google Maps, and now need to recruit collaborators to work from home. Request collaborators working from home and using a smartphone with Google Maps application must add low-touch chat software between the company and the collaborators. The company coordinator then contacted Mr. T to participate in the voting task. Initially, the company assigned Mr. T in their primary group to perform 4 tasks to vote for 4 tourist destinations, and then take a screenshot and send it to the Lotus chat group. Then the company will transfer the commission to the account. At this time, Mr. T joined in a cautious mood, consider this could be a scam. But when he got into the early stages, he was caught off guard by the scam and criminals lured him. Initially, when I joined the Google Vietnam Entertainment Company, I tried to calculate it. It means to see if they are correct, and then how to do it will lead me to many malicious links. No, it means that I use the application in my phone Google Map. I register and then I go there. I just click. It doesn't lead to any malicious link anymore. And when I click on it, I can't see how to make money. But it's so easy. I couldn't do thing but my understanding just poke in and I have the money. And then, when he was cuffed off the car, Mr. T was put into the telegram group by the subject to go to the next round, with the price to explore will gradually increase the amount from a few 100,000 to hundreds of million Vietnam dong. And at the same time, this promised a daily salary for 300,000 Vietnam dong per day, and promised to refund the money when Mr. T finished participating in the program. And by the time Mr. T has completed the task at level 4, it was the last level, and the amount of the money he has transferred to the subject was more than 500 million Vietnam dong. Mr. T eager way to receive his money back and the commission paid by the company. However, Mr. T did not receive the money, but instead, the subject learned Mr. T if he wanted to receive the above amount, he had to upgrade to a VIP card, which means that Mr. T had to transfer hundreds of millions of Vietnam dong more. And then after the transaction, the subject made a skill for many reasons, such as having to pay income tax, value-added tax, etc. until there was no money left in his account. Then Mr. T realized he has been cheated for more than 2.8 billion Vietnam dong and go to the police to report the case. Just like Mr. T, who was scammed in cyberspace, Mr. X from TayNinhTV was caught in just 3 hours in one day, and Mr. X transferred an amount of over 600 million Vietnam dong to the fraudster, which the break of giving a right detail gaps for fashion products that safe believes in. It's like I lost my money and I took a break only for 3 times or 4 times, and then they will pay it back for me. Then the total amount will be nearly 100 million Vietnam dong. Most way to make the money online are scams, and therefore users need to be very wary of solicitations and temptations on social networks and should not provide any personal information to strangers to avoid losing money unjustly. And when working as a collaborator for any units, they must meet directly with an authorized person to sign contracts. To be a collaborator, clearly check the job information and level and forms of salary payments, commission received, etc., especially when wary of jobs that need to be spent money to invest, transfer money in advance, checking and verifying in the social network accounts, strange phone number calling for investment. Do not provide the pictures, personal information such as citizen identification, bank account to strangers. Do not accept or log on into any strange links and applications when information is unknown.
Ladies and gentlemen, 73 years ago, on July 11, 1950, President Ho Chi Minh signed Decree number 121 regulating the organizations of the Chamber Departments of Supply under the Ministry of Defense. This is the predecessor agencies of logistics industry of Vietnam People's Army today.
In 1946, Battalion 11, the predecessor unit of the Armed Forces, was established. Along with that, the logistics sector of the Provincial Armed Forces was built and operated with the motto Army Logistics associated with the People's Logistics. And to the wars, under leadership of the Party Committee of Military Region No. 7 and the Party Committee of the Ninh Province, the logistics sector of the Ninh Province Armed Forces has constantly grown, always proactive and creative in performing the tasks to suit the characteristics of each battlefield, effectively supporting the local people's war movement, contributing to defeating all enemies and the strategies serving laws of the country. And during the period of national construction and defense, the logistics sector of the Ninh Province Armed Forces focused on overcoming war consequences while implementing the Army rear policy, building a solid defense area, and participating in economic production. Understanding the concept of people's logistics go first. Logistics work must fully, timely, and accurately ensure all facilities for the armed forces to fight and win. And during my time working in the logistics industry, I find that the most interesting is the emulation movement. Army logistics industry follow alcohol teachings. In particular, The emulation movement, regular barracks, green, clean, beautiful, has made a clear change in the life of the armed forces of the province. According to the statistics of the military command of the Ninh province, in the first 6 months of 2023 alone, logistics management has fully implemented the management of facilities, finance and logistics, such as estimating and finalizing the sales expenses and daily expenses, closing books, periodically inventorying warehouses, etc. In the past time, the many NCC units in the country have been well completed their tasks and logistics, including the military command of Giao Thành District and the 40 Infantry Company, effective in many areas of logistic work, specifically increasing the production, creating the food sources, and ensuring self-sufficiency in food for the army. And after 33 years of growth and development, the logistics industry of Vietnam People's Army in general and the logistics of the armed forces in particular has gloriously completed the mission assigned by the party in the army, inheriting and promoting the achievements of the revolution. The young generation in the logistics sector of the armed forces of the Ninh province is also determined to paint the golden page of the past 73 years, always going forward for the people to forget themselves, to forever deserve the title of corps and soldiers in the People's Logistics branch.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for TTV News today. Thank you for joining with us and see you next time.